Welcome to the Apartment Guys, where we dive deep into all things multifamily investing. Our mission is to educate, inspire, and empower real estate investors to reach their highest potential. Each week, host Tate Seamer interviews high-level guests from all over the industry who are sure to bring valuable, actionable ideas that will propel your career to the next level. Whether you're just starting out or a seasoned investor, you are in the right place. And now your host, the Apartment Guy, Tate Seamer.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back. Another episode of the Apartment Guys. And today we've got Mr. Tyler Bossetti in the house, T-Boss, as he's known in his stomping grounds of Central Ohio, where he is a young man making a big impact in the world of multifamily investing. And he's somebody that's, like I said, very young and really at the beginning of his journey, towards the beginning of his journey, and is putting a lot of things in place to get that first really big deal done and to scale up. So we talk a lot about that and get into some really actionable items and some really good mindset tips as well, I think. So I think you're going to really enjoy this episode with Tyler Bossetti. Want to remind you to go to www.investwithgreenlight.com and you will find my downloadable ebook there, which is called FIRE, and that stands for Financial Independence, Retire Early via Apartment Investing. It plants a seed of what it might look like to have your entire life, your bills, your savings, your investing, everything that you want to do, your charity, your giving, everything that you want to do paid for through passive income and produced by apartment investing and produced by cash flowing assets that pay a really nice return on investment. So that's the idea. It's really an exciting vision. A lot of people are taking it on, and this vehicle of apartment investing is a space that really allows for the acceleration of wealth building in a way that very little else that I've ever seen does. So it's super exciting to share it and to inspire people to go after it. And it's super inspiring to lead by example as well. I love what my team's up to and the dents that we're making specifically in Ohio and Oklahoma with the deals that we're currently doing. So with that, investwithgreenlight.com is also a place that you can go to learn about passive investing and what it looks like to invest in an apartment deal with us, or with anyone, actually, for that matter. We have resources available on the website, from podcast episodes, meetup groups, our portfolios there, our team bios are there. So check it out. And without further ado, let's just jump right into this episode with Tyler Bossetti. Welcome, everybody, back to another Apartment Guys episode. This is going to be super fun. We have T-Boss in the house, Tyler Bossetti from Columbus, Ohio, 27-year-old real estate developer and entrepreneur. Grew up in a small town in rural Ohio. Tyler, what town did you grow up in?
Mechanicsburg.
Okay, cool. As many people know, I'm from Cincinnati, and so I have a little background on Ohio. I know it pretty well. I went to college there as well. So Mechanicsburg is kind of northeastern.
It is near Urbana and Springfield. So
yeah.
It is near like Dayton area as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like an hour west of Columbus.
Perfect reference. Okay, great. So he growing up there, he learned the importance of finances and developed a motivation to succeed beyond from where he started. In 2016, Tyler purchased his first investment property and has since been involved in 4,000 plus real estate transactions and built an 8-figure real estate portfolio. So super stoked to delve into what has made this young man successful. And Tyler, I'm stoked to have you on the show with me.
Yeah, likewise, Tate. Appreciate you giving me the opportunity, man. And always nice to speak with a fellow Ohioan. So
yeah,
thanks for having me here.
Yeah. So, a little background, kind of set the table. Many people know we've talked a little bit about the acquisitions that my team just made in Central Ohio, in particular in Mansfield and in Columbus. We acquired a 179 unit community in Mansfield called Pine Bridge Apartments. And then we acquired a 70 unit portfolio community in Central Columbus, North Linden area, Tyler, for your reference. Class C project that needs a lot of love. So more managerial love than physical love. But okay. So anyway, I'm in Columbus a lot. I get there, probably 6 times a year, and I'm a big Columbus Crew fan. I'm an MLS guy. I'm kind of a geek about soccer, but I love going there. It is a cool town. Do you like living there?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy to see how much it's grown. I came to Columbus about a decade ago. I went to Wright State University my freshman year of college and found myself being like most everyone at that university, leaving on the weekends. I was visiting friends out in Cincinnati, visiting friends and family here in Columbus, and really just fell in love with Columbus. And a dream of mine was always going to Ohio State University. Ended up transferring to Ohio State. Didn't tell anyone until like literally the day I got accepted, and was like, oh, hey, family, I'm moving to Columbus because I got accepted at Ohio State. And long story short, the last decade being here has been absolutely insane, from going to college at Ohio State and just seeing the university get developed, all the way through being in the mortgage industry for 5 years and really watching just the overall economic growth and the population growth in Columbus. Been really, really cool to watch. And yeah, if you're an MLS fan and a Columbus Crew fan, you probably have seen the massive stadium that's going in. It's going to be really cool to see all that finished here soon.
I'm trying to get tickets to the first game in the new stadium, which is I want to say it's July 3rd or June 3rd. I can't remember which. I think it's June 3rd at this point. And I've got a broker buddy that's he's on it for me. He's looking for tickets. But yeah, that's a beautiful stadium. At first I wasn't so sure about it. It looks really industrial, and it's kind of, but now that it's finished and I've seen some pictures of it, it's really pretty. So Tyler, tell us a little bit about, you kind of growing up and kind of what shaped you and made you who you are, and how you kind of got to where you are today in the real estate world.
Yeah, great question, Tate. And again, appreciate you allowing me to have this opportunity to share my story, connect with others, and hopefully, my intention is always to give value and give as much as possible. So hopefully I can start by potentially inspiring others that are looking to get started or scale their lifestyle, their income, their investments. And that really kind of starts with adversity, in my opinion. So growing up in a small rural town and the middle of nowhere, if you will, with about 1,000 people and graduating with like basically 70 kids in my class, there's not that much inspiration, if you will. There's a lot of potentially limiting beliefs and just small mindset thinking, right? And I mean that in the best way possible, because there could be a lot of people listening to this that have very similar experiences. And for me, I actually lost my father at a very young age. So adversity from day one really kind of taught me a lot. Watching my mom work her tail off like 12, 14 hours a day, instilling just hard work and grit. But at the end of the day as well is being inspired, right? And understanding that if you become self-educated and you kind of make your own path, then it's really cool to see the growth that you can have. So that's really where I've learned, quite a bit is from my upbringing and the adversity that I've gone through naturally, and the created adversity. I'm a big believer that adversity will shape and form people and get them where they need to go.
That is so well said. That's wisdom right there. Adversity is like so much in life. It's really what you make of it. Like, it's a massive opportunity really for growth and for transformation and for like personal development and gaining new perspective and creating new visions and like all that stuff. But it's only that if you make it that, like, it's right. Like, you took what a lot of people would have taken as a bad hand of cards that you were dealt, or a challenging hand of cards that you were dealt, and have done something really, really cool with it, learned from it, grown from it, use it as a reference in your life, like in your story. Like, it didn't have to go that way. Like, you've made some good choices along the way. I'm sure you made some mistakes along the way too.
No, never. I make only great decisions.
Right.
No, I mean, that's it though. It's like, it's just a matter of time before real life adversity hits. So, I'm a big believer that, everything happens for a reason. And if you can consistently create adversity, and I found that through, running ultra marathons, I found that through, doing certain things to do personal development. So again, when real life happens, or you're going through a difficult deal, or you're going through, scaling and things that just come with entrepreneurship. A lot of people don't realize the amount of stresses that come with entrepreneurship and amount of mental issues that come with entrepreneurship. There's like some crazy statistics out there that show how mentally draining it can be for people. And I'm actually super grateful for, life could have been way worse, if you will. But yeah, we went through some adversity, and it really formed me who I was. And that's really what sparked my interest in real estate was, being in second grade and getting called into the principal's office thinking that I was in trouble for something, because I was quite the troublemaker growing up. But in reality, it was getting hard news that, you lost a parent overnight, and that's nothing that you can control. But I really mean the tenacity that I have about building generational wealth. So seeing that happen, I was instilled from the beginning that I never would want that to happen to my family, my future kids. And that's why I appreciate real estate so much. It gives you the opportunity to pass on something bigger than yourself. It gives you the opportunity to, if and when that day comes, you can actually have impact on the world.
Yeah. And you speak really well to entrepreneurship in general. It's not for everybody. And I talk about this a lot, and like, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. Only, a select percentage of the population is kind of wired for entrepreneurship, and that other folks aren't. Like, that's fine. We need all of us to make the world go around. And that said, like, for me, the best comparison that I can really come up with entrepreneurship is like the world of athletics and sport. Like, when you see, I'm like I said, I mentioned, I'm a soccer fan. I'm an NBA fan. Right now, the Utah Jazz are crushing it, and had an amazing season, and we're in the playoffs now. And like, watching those guys do what they do, they are ideally at every second in the game, 100% present, 100% focused, intentional about what they're doing, well coached, have a plan, are executing on that plan, and happen to be making money doing it. Like, there's a lot of parallels, I think, with athletics, and in competition, like, the spirit of healthy competition, I think is a good thing. I use it I compete with myself now. At my age, I've gotten wise enough to know that it can be really irritating to other people if you're competing with them and they don't necessarily care or want to be competed with.
Yeah.
But so now it's a matter of like, being my personal best and setting the bar really high numerically and creating my own vision for what success looks like and competing with that. Right. So like we have a goal to have 1,000 doors in Columbus and 1,000 doors in Oklahoma City by May 10th of next year. And we're on our way in both markets. We're in particular, Oklahoma City right now is really, we're getting a lot of great deal flow there and getting it done. So,
Incredible.
All the listeners know, and Tyler, I'm totally here however I can be for you and your journey. I'll say that again at the end, but I'll just mention that now, that I'm so passionate about having other people around me succeed. And, it's selfish in a way because it always comes back around, but I love watching people win, man.
Yeah, I think you made a great point with, number one, the comparison of like athletics. I think it creates a lot of discipline, and that's kind of why I fell in love with running as well. Is it was never a sport like basketball or football where you could pass the ball and the teammate drops it or they miss the shot and, the coach is putting you in the game or not putting you in the game. That's what I really loved about running, was like, hey, go put your shoes on and go run and see if you can win the race. And it's like the ultimate long-term play as well. That's why, in a sick way, I love ultra marathons. Running a mile or running 100 miles, it's all relative. It's all difficult depending on the pace, depending on the day, depending on all these different factors. But I love the ultra marathons because it creates that adversity, creates that discipline. And then it's, in a sick way as well. It's kind of comparable to real estate. Like I'm thinking 10 years from now versus 10 days from now. So you're running 100 miles, there's going to be a lot of things that go good and go bad during that race. And getting to 1,000 doors, there's going to be a lot of good and bad things that happen getting to 1,000 doors. But yeah, it all starts with self-respect, self-discipline, self-adversity, and self-competition. So I couldn't agree more.
I like what you said a couple different times about like challenging yourself, like introducing adversity voluntarily into your environment so that you could, with the purpose of growth and expansion, right? Like, I think that's really brilliant. And that's what you do when you go work out, like you're lifting weights, like you're pressing against resistance, which is adversity, right? So, and that's how you get strong and lean, and that's how everything works better. And, when you get to be 48, you really want to be working out then, let me tell you. It's a little different, Tyler. You'll see, I'm sure.
I'm getting there quickly, so I understand.
You've got some time still, my friend, but no, I'm super stoked for you. So tell us a little bit about what you're doing now and what you and your team are up to.
Yeah. So just for some further context of who I am and what we do, I'm the co-founder of 0%. And essentially what we are is a financial services company, hyper focused on educating people on overall financial literacy, specifically about personal and business credit and how to utilize personal and business credit to start and scale businesses, right? So if you're, starting a new business venture or you're investing into real estate, whatever it is, at some point you're likely going to need money, right? You're going to need capital, and the best capital to get access to, in my personal opinion, is other people's money, right? Whether it's raising private money for a real estate deal, whether it's using personal or business credit cards or lines of credit. So that's really what we created. My business partner, Jeff, and I, is creating these digital consulting programs where we are helping people get access to, creative financing, and they leverage that creative financing to scale their business or to introduce new income streams through e-com or through all these different ways that you can make money, right? And at the end of the day, how do we build wealth, right? And we do that through two different avenues. We have a crypto hedge fund, and then we have, our real estate ventures. So my business partner, Jeff, he's, the expert on the crypto side. Obviously, I know my fair share. But I hyper focus on the real estate side of things. And our intention is pretty straightforward. Build an audience, get attention, share value, and get people into our consulting programs, them scale their business, scale their income, and then ultimately flow them through our funds where they're investing in building that generational wealth. And right now, specifically on the real estate side, we're at a beautiful opportunity of economies of scale. I have like 24 active projects right now on 1 to 10 unit value add properties. And I can tell you right now that that is not going to last forever, because I will probably lose my sanity driving around to, almost 30 different projects, checking in on, the upkeep and whatnot versus, hey, let's just go buy or develop this 100 unit. Right. So that's where we're at, is building that really strong foundation of the portfolio. And we are officially in contract to purchase a piece of land and develop our first quote unquote big boy deal, if you will, Tate. It's going to be 30 townhomes. And then phase 2 is going to be 115 unit apartment complex. So
wow.
we're pretty excited about that.
You're going vertical yourselves with those?
Yeah. It's going to be out in Newark.
Yeah.
If you've heard of the big Newark station deal out there.
Yep.
I'm not sure when this is going to be actually, going live, but we're still in the process of closing on the land and obviously getting all that, situated, raising money and getting all that structured and whatnot. But yeah, phase 1 is going to be building literally right next to the Newark station deal, which is a massive, massive project. Mm-hmm. And yeah, we'll be developing those 30 townhomes and either stabilizing and selling them or just selling them and, rolling that into phase 2 or keeping all of it. My intention is to keep as much as possible. And then in between that period, similar to you, is, repositioning bigger deals. So biggest thing right now on our end is I understand the 1 to 10 unit value add game, right? It's just really having confidence and removing that limiting belief to say, fuck it, let's get that first deal. We'll figure it out along the way. Excuse my language to the audience, but I think I saw your post about that. It's like the lull of the first deal. I tell that to clients all the time that are coming in and speaking with me. Tyler, how do I buy my first investment property? Look, dude, I can give you the 87 steps, but like you just got to go in a contract, right? And you'll figure it out as you go.
Yeah.
So that's where we're at.
That is so it. And I mean, the honest best truth of the way that I can tell people to do this business is to lead with deals, get deals under contract. And if they're good deals and you only should be doing good deals, they will, the pieces will come together. Now they're not going to fall into place like without your work. In fact, it's going to be a lot of hard work, putting the pieces in place that it takes to get a deal to the finish line. In particular with capital raising and investor relations, that aspect of the game is intense and it's fun. Like if you approach it as kind of a game and as a fun business to be in, but it's also very intense work. And again, not for everybody, but no, congratulations. That's super exciting. I love the enthusiasm behind losing the limiting belief. Well, first of all, identifying the limiting belief is so brilliant. Like that's where most people don't, that's where 98% of us miss it, is we just don't see the limiting belief to begin with, right? It's operating in the background somehow and calling the shots and keeping us from keeping us from believing what is possible, which therefore the way that our neurology works, if we don't believe something's possible, we're not going to see opportunities that are right there in front of us, literally. And there are real estate opportunities. You're in Columbus, I'm in Salt Lake. We're two very, very hot markets. You and I are surrounded by real estate opportunities everywhere we go, and every conversation we have is, and one thing that I learned a long time ago, or I was taught, is that really at the end of the day, all of this really comes down to a series of conversations, like having conversations with the right people at the right time, asking for what you need in the right way, and creating value, as you spoke to numerous times before. That's really where it's at. Like, that kind of communication and that kind of just connection is where the rubber meets the road. So
a lot of it too is probably now more than ever, especially with, people around my age at 27, is social media and egos and likes and this and that. I'm the first person to like compliments. I'm the first person to like attention. But at the end of the day, you hit the nail on the head. Is a series of conversation. I believe in three things: people, processes, and profit. You have to have good people. People build businesses and processes to make money. Like, we're all here to make money, and you can't do that unless you have people and processes in place. And yeah, like you said as well, you have to lead with value. One of my buddies, he's a phenomenal investor here in town. He's a great wholesaler as well. He called me today. Hey, you got 2 minutes, Tyler? Yep. I'm driving. What's going on, man? He goes, hey, before I ask you for a favor, is there anything I can help you out with? Right. And he's like, do you need help analyzing a deal? Do you need help checking in on something? But he needed some credit help. He had some questions. He had some things pop up on his credit. I gave him some advice. Boom. He got that taken care of. That probably saved him literally hundreds of thousands of dollars on his refinance. And then 37 minutes later, his team got a deal in contract, sent it over to me. And it's one of the hottest areas of Columbus that I already know he would have been able to make 20, 25 grand more by email blasting it out to his thousands of his, network and community. So literally in a 4-minute conversation of me driving away from Starbucks this morning, giving, a few miscellaneous tips that I know at the top of my head when it comes to credit, saved him hundreds of thousands of dollars, him having deals in place because he's an expert at acquisitions. That saved me tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars. And so it does start with people. I just think a lot of us, myself included, we're all humans. We have egos. So if we can remove the limiting beliefs, it's pretty cool to see what we can do.
Yeah. And like you say, we all have our ego, and like, that's there. Like, it just is what it is. It's kind of built or wired into us. And, what we do with it is what really like matters. And do we let it run the show unconsciously? Do we show up with our ego's priorities at the forefront? Or do we show up like your buddy did with your priorities in mind and your needs and authentically saying, hey man, like, I need something from you. But before we get into that, like, how can I contribute to you? It's not necessarily like you scratch my back, I scratch yours, but it's like he obviously has the routine down and the habit of coming from this value add place. And that's like that's a Jedi mind trick, really, when you think about, like, if you came at everybody in your professional world, and then even in your personal world, like, how transformative it would be if you were just all about them, making their dreams come true, like meeting their needs, getting them to the next level, helping them through the next obstacle, whatever it is that they, meeting them where they are, of course, and then just, contributing however you can. Like, that was a brilliant move on your buddy's part. It's good stuff.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And a lot of what I say, it's probably me just saying it back to myself at the end of the day, to be selfish. But yeah, even when it comes down to my day to day, like filming a video for YouTube or putting something out on social media, the biggest mindset switch I had was, I think it might've been actually my business partner. He's phenomenal when it comes to marketing and content. He said, hey, the best way for you to like remove the limiting belief and put stuff out every day is change the I to you. So instead of saying like, I did this, I did blah, blah, it's like, you can do this and this is how I did it. Or here's how you can look at it in a different, scope of a different angle. Right. So yeah, it's all a learning game. And I actually have a question for you, Tate.
Yeah.
I'm going to start firing questions away.
Yeah, absolutely.
What was like the biggest, I guess, shift for you when it came to maybe where I'm at right now, right? Like, we've clearly have a very solid business foundation in place. We have an 8-figure consulting business. We have a crypto hedge fund that is likely going to hit 100 million asset under management this year, and real estate is doing very well. But what was that like? Okay, this is how we actually scale to 1,000 doors in the next 12 months. Was it raising money? Was it finding deals? What was that for you? And then to kind of piggyback on that, for me, is that structure, right? Like, how do you say, hey, here is that 115 unit apartment complex. Here's exactly the 3 reasons why you need to invest alongside us. That conversation can go for 3 hours, but I want to get some insight on that step to scale.
Yeah, no, great questions. And congratulations. In 46 guests, I think you're the first one that's like asked me an interview question. That's awesome. I love it. And so I would say simply, a simple answer to your question is that the mindset shift really came from signing up for a coaching mastermind that I paid for with Corey Peterson, who's the big kahuna. He's in Phoenix and out of Phoenix, and is a very successful syndicator. And I really learned kind of the, dotting the I's, crossing the T's aspect of the business, and capital raising and some basic underwriting. I got a really nice broad education from Corey and being in that mastermind, and nice. He really pushed me to start this podcast. So I have a lot to thank Corey for. We are currently we're currently in a mastermind with Tim Bratz, who is an Ohio guy out of Parma, Ohio, and a lot of his team's out of Columbus. He lives in Charleston now, but anyway, he's a high level 435 million assets under management, something like that, 4,500 doors, and he's 35 years old. Most of that growth he's had in the last 6 years. He's a dynamo. And so he's got a mastermind, and we have quarterly events. 2 of them are in person every year. And so being surrounded by people that not only will teach you, but might actually partner with you or sponsor your deals or otherwise really enable you, and another way of saying that is like a mentor / sponsor, somebody that believes in you. I know, Tyler, you've got enough business experience and I'm sure enough contacts and good, close contacts that are powerful enough that can help you along in this space as well. You want to utilize all that, but honestly, I mean, at some point there's like that basic choice that like, okay, well, Tim Bratz did this and he's a stud and I like him and he's charismatic and everything, but I'm not like chopped liver and, I'm kind of smart and like, I know a lot of people and maybe I can do this. And then it kind of, you start to like learn the business and learn the language and learn the concepts, and you just get versed in the specialized knowledge, and then you get confidence, and then you start to get serious about finding deals. And that's, for us, that's what really like started the serious forward progression, was finding these deals, putting them under contract, and doing what it took to get them done. We had a couple deals that didn't close. One was due to COVID shutting us down right at the financing deadline. It was a 44 unit in Albuquerque, but we were really, really close on that one. We had another one under contract in San Antonio that, or it was under LOI, but we kind of got outbid, but we were actually pretty into that one as well. And then we really kind of laser focused on Columbus and Oklahoma City. Those are really the only 2 markets that we spend any time or resources inside of other than Utah. Nice. And so, yeah, it's kind of it's a progression, right? It doesn't all necessarily happen at once, but at the same time, like, I'm a skier and a mountain biker, and like I've always believed that if there's a tough entrance into a chute, for instance, skiing, like I might not be able to like figure that out and have enough confidence to do it. But if I can watch somebody in front of me do it and just know that all I have to do is what they do, I have enough.
Yep.
That gives me the confidence, right? That instills confidence in me that
Totally.
I can get it done. And so really, like, I think you're in a great position with somebody like me or other people that that are closing these deals that you're wanting, the scope of which you're wanting to get done as well. And just utilize the heck out of us or me or your resources. And then, consider the mastermind idea too. It's just, I think there's a couple hundred people in it. It's a paid mastermind, and I think it's worth every penny myself. Our 3 out of our 5 team members are in the mastermind. So
nice. Yeah. I think you said a lot of great things. Number one is removing the limited belief. Mm-hmm. I probably had like 2 conversations with, people that have actually been in the game. They've actually, started and scaled a portfolio. And it was just like my intuition and my gut was like, again, hopefully I'm, not saying too much vulgar stuff here on the podcast, but I'm like, the people that do it just have a set of balls, right? Or they just have tenacity. They're just like, okay, well, fixing and flipping a house in Columbus, Ohio. Yes, there's obviously more steps. There's more risk potentially. But at the end of the day, I was just driving through Columbus, seeing buildings go up the same amount of time it was taking me to, fix and flip like six houses at once. I'm like, wait, what is going on? There's got to be a strategy behind this. And then actually I heard this from Tim, was the analogy of, this is kind of coming back to the ego. Do you want to own, 100% of the grape, or do you want to own a quarter of a watermelon? And that really shifted my mindset. I was like, wait, I just want to find a way to do all these deals and own them all myself. But in reality, you can scale to $10,000 if you want, or 1,000, whatever that magical number is for you, actually way quicker the more you give. So yeah, I really like that insight, Tate. Definitely appreciate it. And gives me some more confidence as far as, getting this first one, fingers crossed, locked in and facilitating that whole process. I'll be definitely connected with you outside of this podcast, I'm sure, for some more advice, if you don't mind.
Yeah. And one other idea that just popped into my head that we did on our 20 unit out here is pick like some big badass expert in the market that, is well-resourced, has cash, can invest, and just say, hey, you know what? I've got this deal and it's a really good deal. And I think, you're amazing and I'd love the opportunity to work with you. And would you take 5% of this deal for just being on like my advisory team?
Yeah.
And we did that with our now partner, who's Utah based out here with us. And we ended up for that. And he was a yes, he was all about it, and made a lot of sense for him. And he saw our vision and our tenacity. I love that word that you used. So, and then we, of course, we ended up needing some more money for the deal, and he was able to bring that. And then he's a big part of our Columbus deals and awesome. Oklahoma City moving forward. That all came from offering 5% of a $2 million deal to him, and it's a great friendship. And it wouldn't be, anything like it was if we hadn't done that. So like that, and we're making him money that he wouldn't otherwise be making. And he's like just a massive, massive contribution to me and to my partner, Carl. And so, yeah, consider that, like, and you can talk to that, whoever that person or people are beforehand, even before you have a deal, and say, hey, this is kind of what I'm thinking. And see if there's alignment there. If if there's alignment and synergy, it'll be exciting, and it'll be, it'll be something that lights people up. So,
yeah, I couldn't agree more. And if they say no, then
yeah,
make
no
the
big deal.
next phone call.
Yeah,
they're probably good where they are. So,
yeah, if you got a no on something like that, first of all, I'd be really surprised, because, it's 5% of a GP is, that can be a chunk of change at the end of the day. And
yep.
For sharing like your knowledge and your expertise, so many people in this industry, like you've said earlier and kind of alluded to, this is really a value add business. And so there's a lot of people out there. They're going to advise you, or they're going to help you, advise you, give you support, whether or not they're in the deal or not. But I love having the formal arrangement of partnership with an expert. Like you just can't, and think of like all the things they might save you from, like the pitfalls they might, because in our case, our guy's got 400 doors here in downtown. He's got a 17-person crew that is building stuff and renovating stuff, and he's got tenants and property managers and investors. And so he's kind of seen all aspects of the business, and he's just incredibly valuable to us to being as successful as we can, which we owe to ourselves and to our investors and to our tenants, ultimately.
Yep. Yeah. It just comes down to, I guess, me just always reminding myself, people, processes, profit. We all want to make more money. How do we do that? Let's get the right people in place in the right chair, and then we can take advantage of each other's processes and make them more efficient if necessary. So yeah, I really like that insight. I appreciate that, Tate, and couldn't agree more.
Let me ask,
see Columbus boom.
Yeah. Columbus is a fun place to be doing this. So let me ask you, Tyler. So what do you feel may be not necessarily a missing piece, but like something that if it were present in your business right now, would move the needle for you, like it would get you to that next level? I know it's that big deal, right? Like what's standing between you and it at this point?
Yeah, that's it. I think it's really doing that first big deal. I learned really quickly after the last couple of years, like actually being in the game of fix and flip, of doing X, Y, Z. It's doing that first deal. It's developing, buying that piece of land, structuring it properly with GPs, LPs, raising this, raising that, and just putting the pieces together and watch this piece of land go to 30 townhomes and 115 unit, and doing that first big deal and getting that first partner and sponsor in place, if that's what it takes, which, 99.9% sure that is going to be the case. Once I do that, the confidence piece is there. And not that I'm lacking confidence by any means, but it's like, okay, I know how this game works. Let's just rinse and repeat. We have a huge opportunity where attention leads to money, right? So we have a huge foundation built in place where we're bringing in income as a company. We have attention, we're getting value, have an audience. So we've basically built our private money right here. It's waiting to hand us every single penny. We just have to consistently find good deals. And I have to be confident enough to make sure that those investors are, protected. And I feel confident enough having them send me money. So once we do that first deal, I think we're really going to be off to the races, and it's going to be really, really fun to benefit with everyone along the way.
Yeah. Yeah, you will be off to the races. And it's not just that you've got confidence, it's that other people have confidence in you. And you have the ability to go to a broker and go, you know what, we just closed on this and I've got cash I really need to deploy that we're just sitting on right now. It's driving me crazy. I need a deal bad. Like, what do you know? That sort of approach is really a cool place to come from when you can say, hey, we just closed this and here's what we love about the deal. And here's what we love about the area. And here are the areas that we're interested in. And here's kind of what we're looking for. And you know, how can we help you? Like, how, you know, we want to get to 1,000 doors in Columbus. We really want to get to 1,000 doors by the end of the calendar year. So like, that was kind of our original goal. And so that's our goal. And I'm sure you've got your goals as a broker. You know, if they don't, they're probably not great brokers, but you know, like, how can us achieving our goal, how can we work together so that it gets you to where you want to be? And, you know, kind of coming at it from that. And, you know, I just got done recording an episode with a broker. We were talking broker relations, and we really got deep into what it takes to, you know, stay top of mind with a broker. And it's really valuable stuff. Dan Lukowitz is the episode, and I definitely recommend listening to it, because right from him, he's saying, okay, this is what I need from you guys. And when you come to me and say that you want this, and you want this many units, and you want this vintage, and you want it in this part of town, and you want it for this cap rate, and I go out and find it for you, I expect you to perform. Like, as a broker, that's my expectation, because if you don't, I've got a dozen others behind you that will. And so, you know, that's just one aspect of what it takes. And so you getting your track record in place is going to be, I'm stoked for you, man. Cause it's all of a sudden it's like game on. And, I mean, we had an owner who happens to be a CBRE broker come to us with 2 assets that she and her husband own. Out of the blue, she calls me and says, I was talking to this person, a common reference, and they recommended you as a buyer, and here's why, here's what they said. And I'd really like you to consider buying these apartments. We want 40,000 a unit for one and 50,000 for the other. And I mean, they're really good deals. And, you know, like, that's that's the magic of the first deal, you know, it really is. So Michael Blanc talks about it all the time, the law of the first deal, and it's real. And I make the analogy of, like, you just got to do it. You got to, like, do whatever it takes to lift off. It's like that 80% of the fuel consumption on a plane ride that takes to get you up to altitude. You got to like push and sprint. And you're an ultra marathoner, you know, better than anyone what it takes to just push to the end and finish, like, and that's like getting the deal. And then you've got, from that point forward, to get to closing is another whole adventure, right?
Yeah, I think what was definitely eye-opening for me was realizing this goes even for a single family home or 100 units. Just getting closed is fun and all, but that's definitely where the work just begins. And I'm starting to see that now more than ever when it comes to the bigger deals, is the amount that you have to analyze. And I'm also a big believer, just like staying in your own lane. I love networking. I love raising capital. I love presenting deals and talking to people and putting content out to get them into our consulting programs. I like hate spreadsheets and analyzing this and that and the construction side. So really just saying, okay, like you said, what is that missing piece? Right? How do we consistently find deals? How are we going to creatively fund them? How are we going to manage the process and or put people in place? And then ultimately, how are we going to disposition it? Are we going to manage it? Is someone else going to manage it? So that's what I'm learning, right? You know, and it's really fun, honestly. It's fun to be able to make those high level decisions and make sure everyone's winning along the way.
Yeah. It's so cool that you're having fun and having a lot of fun, because that just, I mean, that's to me, the magic ingredient to this is just a passion and a love for the game, and so much so that you would do it if it paid a quarter of what it pays. Like, all of us love the big money, the big upside, the wealth creation and everything else. And at the same time, like, you got to love the activity. If you're going to do it, in my opinion, if you're going to do it well and serve your investors well, you got to have passion for making sure that you're getting great deals. You're getting them for the best, terms you can get them for. You're getting the best financing that you can get, and that you're managing the best properties that you can. And by that, I don't mean self-managing necessarily. I mean having great property managers do that for you in general. That's what I think is a good approach. Like, I'm not a big believer in self-management. I think somebody as talented as you, Tyler, your resources are best spent out finding the next, $22 million deal, and the next, $2 million investor or $5 million investor, whatever, like, as opposed to, whatever, like checking references on a lease or, this gets into that conversation that I love to have with, figure out how much you are worth per hour. And, if that's a matter of taking how much you made last year and dividing it up by how many hours you think you worked, like, do it that way, or figure out what you think you can make, like what your upside is, and then divide it by your hours. That to me is like, my hourly time is in the four figures for sure. And so for me, like, anything I can get done for, $100 an hour, if it's a graphic designer, or $300 an hour, if it's an attorney, or if it's a property manager, like 3 to 8% of the collected rents, if that's what it takes to pay someone really well to do that job better than I can do it. That's money right there. That leverage and the economies of scale that you get with an apartment community, and the management of it is, so awesome. You alluded to that earlier, where you'd rather have one boiler, one roof, and 100 units. That stuff is awesome.
Yeah, I watched enough Grant Cardone videos of him yelling, saying that if you think you need to buy a big deal, you should buy a bigger one. And now, although in my personal opinion, there's no best way to invest in really anything. Like, technically someone could argue stocks are better, crypto's better, or whatever. Like, I'm not that type of person that this is the exact way how to do everything. I believe in diversification. I believe in, leveraging everything, leveraging other people's time, leveraging other investment accounts, asset classes, etc. But at the end of the day, you just got to do that first deal, and that's how you learn. But I did realize really quickly, oh, okay, this is why we buy big deals, because driving to 27 different projects is a nightmare. And it's decision fatigue at the end of the day too. Like, we can put things down on a piece of paper that is measurable. Like, okay, my time is worth $2,000 an hour or $200 an hour. Or I have an assistant for this, or I hired a VA to do this, or I have an attorney to do this. And at the end of the day, what I'm really discovering is decision fatigue. It's an energy game, energy in, energy out. Not only did I waste an hour of my time, but I probably wasted another 3 hours of thinking about that decision I had to make, or that weighing on my brain at night, or when I woke up, or when I was driving. Like, it's just that energy in, energy out. How much decision fatigue did that take away from you to go make 3 decisions today versus 7? So we're all trying to figure it out. But at the end of the day, I'm excited to do this first deal. And it was super inspiring to see your recent posts on that, and very confident we'll be connecting offline to potentially partner on some deals.
Yeah. And next time I'm in Columbus, which I might be out for in a couple weeks, actually, maybe 3 weeks.
The crew game.
I might try to make it to the first Columbus crew game and the new stadium there. The Major League Soccer team that Columbus has. I'm a big Real Salt Lake fan, our team here, and I've been a season ticket holder for 10 years now. And
nice.
Like I said, I'm a geek, man. for soccer.
Man's ready to go.
I love it.
You like paint your chest and everything, or
no, I'm not. No, but I mean, I'll get like in our assist. Like I was yelling at our assistant coaches like from behind the bench the other night.
Getting after it.
But no, it's like my frivolous pleasure in life. Like, but I get passionate. I'm passionate about everything I do, and I get passionate about being a fan. That's the only spectator sport in my world. Everything else I'm doing myself, and whether it's skiing, mountain biking, whatever.
Love it.
I'm a cornhole competitor, man. Like, yeah,
I'm from rural Ohio, so it's in my blood.
There you go. Yeah. You grew up with it too. Like it wasn't a thing when I was growing up, but anyway. Well, Tyler, so what words of wisdom would you offer someone that's looking to kind of get to where you are in their path at this point?
Yeah, I think, great question. I think everyone has their own strengths and their own weaknesses. And you alluded to it a little bit. I think with social media and, trends and generations, entrepreneurship outside looking in can be, very sexy, and it has its pros and cons. But at the end of the day, I wouldn't take away from the value that you can have working in a company, working with a mentor, working with somebody that can show you the way. Me being involved in 4,000 real estate transactions from the financing and the mortgage side allowed me to understand how to actually build a team. Watching my, close friend and mentor and boss at the time, like sit in meetings, how to have a cadence in the meeting, how to hire people, how to fire people, how to communicate with people, how to build out weekly agendas on meetings, how to make difficult phone calls, how to do all these different things from a quote unquote corporation side can be insanely valuable that you can instill if you are then ready to take that leap into entrepreneurship and just, really trust in your gut and putting in the real work. And what I mean by putting in the real work is creating that daily adversity, whether it is, personally, professionally, financially. What do you need to do to get better in those areas? For me, I find through, as you can see during this podcast, being as healthy as possible, fasting, drinking juice, trying to get sunlight, stretching, running. But yeah, really those things, right? Finding a mentor and removing the ego to say, hey, it's okay to get into a 9-to-5, to understand how to actually build something bigger than yourself. And once you do that, let's create adversity and let's make sure that we're the most disciplined that we can possibly be. And at the end of the day, always keep the end in mind, always making sure that you understand your why. For me, it was the adversity that I had from day one of losing my father. My first investment property I bought in 2016, lived in one side, rented out the other. I was out partying on the weekend, having a good time, doing a bunch of things I probably shouldn't have been doing. And someone broke into my property, lit my place on fire. My dad died from a house fire, so it was a very personal situation. So I know what it's like to lose everything overnight. And that is why I'm so passionate about real estate, is because the ability of being selfish and building that generational wealth to say, hey, I did this and it's something bigger than me that I can pass on. So really those are the three things: is get around people actually doing it that inspire you, that can get you there way faster. And just understanding that you have to put yourself in that position. No one else can do that for you.
Yeah. And know your big why. So well said, Tyler. Like some serious wisdom in there, guys. Hopefully you were taking notes or mental notes there, because there was some good wisdom from a young man on a path to abundance and success. I'm really stoked for you, dude. Like I'm really glad we got to do this and get to know each other, and looking forward to meeting in person and talking
Likewise.
about growing together and getting you to the next level, getting me to the next level. Like we're all in this together, and Columbus is a great place to do it. Are you looking elsewhere for larger scale assets, or are you focused on Columbus?
Yeah, I'm heavily focused on Columbus and just really central Ohio.
Yeah.
As I mentioned, that first big deal is out in Newark. Which before we know it's going to be a neighborhood of Columbus, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, heavily focused on Central Ohio and Columbus, I'm a big, big believer in brand. And I'm a big believer in, again, thinking 10 years from now versus, 10 days from now. I'm not saying that I won't go invest in other markets. I don't know. So it's hard for me to make that assumption. I just know for right now, in this exact moment, hyper focused on Columbus. If I have to miss out on other deals to continue to build a big brand in Columbus, I think it just pays massive dividends down the road when you're a Schottenstein one day, and you best believe they probably see every deal before anyone like me sees the deal, right? Yep. So just building that brand long term, and answer your question, hyper focused on Columbus.
Yeah, I think that's way powerful, and it's really smart. I mean, we're here in Utah. It's one of the hottest markets in the country as we speak on May 25th, 2021. Like, we're the lowest unemployment in the country, but we're also some of the lowest cap rates in the country when it comes to acquiring apartment buildings. So we look for the sweet spot, and the sweet spot for us is a progressive urban market that has really dynamic economic indicators and aspects of diversified employment. With Columbus, it's just such a gem in the middle of a lot of kind of just mediocre economies like Cleveland and Cincinnati. They're fine. They're growing like a little bit, and you can do very well there. But Indianapolis is, to a little more degree, like kind of pretty exciting. But man, Columbus just has this something else that none of those other markets really have. It's a flair. It's like a vibe. People love living there. Like, people, seek it out now. People are moving there from the coast, and Ohio in general was number 4 for immigration last year, and out of 50 states, and that's all like happening in Central Ohio. That's not really happening in Cleveland and Cincinnati. So,
I think there's a key thing that you said there. Like, there's a vibe here, and I don't know if it's just my generation or not, but I'm a big believer in like just intuition and what I call the gut test. Yeah. Like, I fly down to Miami. I travel quite a bit. So like, when I'm going to other cities, you can kind of feel like, oh, this is a big city, or this is not really. Like, when you come into Columbus, like, I'm driving around every day, like, that building's going up. Yep. Okay. I'm seeing new faces. Like, I've been in here for 10 years at bottle service on the weekends, at the nicest restaurants, at the worst restaurants, at this place, that place. I've been around the block in terms of what is going on. And there is a gut test that I've done the last couple of years to say, there's something going on here. What's happening? It's growing quick, way quicker than I think we realize. So it's really exciting.
Yeah. And neither of us mentioned that it's the state capital and has the 3rd largest university in the country. Like, those are 2 massive factors that will never go away. Right. Like, so anyway, well, dude, by the way, we're going to have to go out. You're going to have to take me to one of those bottle service type spots in Columbus. I haven't gone real top shelf there yet. Although I did eat at the Top Steakhouse out in Bexley when I was there last. So
nice. Hit me up when you're in town here in a few weeks. I got a few Airbnbs in the Short North area, so it will be right around everything that you probably want to be around. And obviously,
I might have already, dude. I bet you I rented from you already. Honestly, like,
Are you the one that left the bad review?
No, no, not me. No. No, I've done a lot of Airbnbs around Short North. So I don't know. We'll see. But anyway, thanks for spending this time with me. It's been really cool. Really enjoyed it. You got a friend out here in Utah. Anytime you need anything, to chat or bounce ideas off of, and let's tear it up in Columbus over the next few years.
Yes, absolutely. Same goes for you. Let's connect when you're in Columbus here, and I'll put you in the Taj Mahal here, and take care of you and show you a thing or two when it comes to the bottle service. All right.
Right on. Cool.
Awesome, Tate.
All right,
Thanks for the
Tyler.
opportunity.
Thank you. And thank you, listeners, for hanging out with Tyler and myself through this. I hope you got a lot of great value and some good actionable tips and some good mindset stuff. Like, this was a really rich conversation. So I'm excited for you all to have heard it. And hopefully, the commitment of this podcast is that we bring you things that help you move the needle, like really move the needle, like get you to not just feeling good about what you're currently doing or filling you with enough knowledge that you feel like you did enough work for today, but to actually get you resources and ideas that that facilitate you getting that next big deal, getting the next big investor, whatever that looks like. And so, hopefully there's some of that in there for you today and, throughout all these podcast episodes. So once again, listeners, thank you a ton. Thanks again, Tyler. And we will check you all next week. Take care, everybody.
Thanks for listening to The Apartment Guys with Tate Seamer. Tate and friends are grateful to have you as a loyal listener. If you like what you've heard, please subscribe, rate, review, and share with friends on your Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, or any other podcast platform. Also, check out Tate's YouTube channel for videos of many of these episodes and more. Until next time, take massive action steps and rock on.